Okay. Hey, everybody. Looks like it's time to start. I'm going to get a picture of the room for my group at home, if you guys don't mind. It's a good crowd here today. Thank you. You're on camera now. Let's dive in. First, I just want to say hello to everybody. Hello, Chicago. This is really cool for me to be here, and it's warm, right? I was preparing for like 5 degrees. I was here a couple years back in January. I was like 5 degrees, snow, whatever. I'm like, hey, balmy, very nice. My name is Kathy Watanabe. I have been in the IT industry for about 27 years now. So if you're counting, I started when I was 12, okay? 27 years in the industry, graduated from college in 1990 with my CS degree. I've been at Microsoft for 21 of those 27 years. And I spent my first 10 years in the IT department at Microsoft, which, let me tell you, was an interesting experience being IT for Microsoft, the company that builds a ton of software for IT. It was a very hard job. I built a lot of line of business applications, worked a little bit in the infrastructure space, and spent the last 3 years in IT as the chief IT architect of Microsoft IT, trying to right the sins of the previous 7 years where I had basically helped contribute to multiple masters of customer data and product data, and we had something like 2,000 line of business applications that we were using for employees, partners. It was crazy. And so I also brought in SAP. We ran part of the company on SAP at the time, as well as then Dynamics CRM to replace Siebel, and a whole bunch of things I did during that time. I'm now in the product group. I've been in O365, if you've heard of that. And now I'm in the enterprise mobility and security side of the house. My focus is Intune, which is why we're all here right now. And what brought me to Microsoft's product group, I want to tell this story to you guys, so I think it's really interesting. When I was in IT 10 years ago-ish, I started hearing Microsoft execs talking about software plus services. I don't know if any of you guys remember some of that or were out watching some of that when it was going on. And I was like, this is really interesting. We're known for on-premise products, Windows Server, SQL Server, you name it, all of the stuff that was going on back then. And I was like, this is really interesting. If Microsoft can really do this, if we can really pull off this, what we now call the cloud, I'm in, So I watched it for a little while. That was probably about 12 or 13 years ago when that mantra started, and joined about 10 years ago in what was, anybody remember BPOS, Business Productivity Online Suite, which is now O365. So that's where I went. I went straight into the Exchange Online team in the product group, and those were some bloody days, let me tell you. It was really hard stuff, really trying to figure out how to get the cloud right for everybody, keep everybody's email protected, trusted to Microsoft, running in our data centers, and really interesting times. And that led me to the security side of the house and the enterprise mobility suite, because what good is Microsoft's cloud without the right protections, right? So that's kind of an intro into my history and why I'm here talking to you guys today. I'd like to get a little background from you guys in the room. So how many of you either are evaluating or using O365, some portion of it today? Most people, okay, great, that's super helpful. How many of you are using some capability out of Azure to do something for your infrastructure or your platform as a service? Okay, good. How many of you guys use or are evaluating something with enterprise mobility plus security, AADP, or, okay, a little less? And then Intune specifically? Okay, super helpful. That gives me a bit of familiarity. So this is a good group. Some of the groups are like, no hands down, so that's good. So first, most of you probably know some of what I want to share with you, but let me run through it really quickly first. And this is Microsoft's perspective on what's going on in the industry that all of you and I feel right now, the pressures in our jobs, And then more importantly, what's our response? And then I'll go into some of the capabilities specifically around Intune. And then I'll demo our new Intune on Azure. How many of you guys have heard of Intune on Azure? Even less, good. Well, you'll stay for this part then. So let me talk about that for a second. So as you know, Intune, while it's been a service that blends nicely with O365 and Azure, it's had a separate management console based in Silverlight, and it's a whole different administrative experience than if you're using Azure to do, say, networking, storage, virtual machines, et cetera. And some of our infrastructure on the back end for how we run the service for y'all has been on Azure, and some has been in some legacy capability. We have invested over the past year to move all of our infrastructure on Azure, so we're running Intune as a service on top of the Azure infrastructure that everybody uses. And we've actually moved the console into the Azure console. So you can, and not only will you be able to do everything you've been able to do as we build that capability out in the Silverlight console, the Intune console you're familiar with today, but there's also some new capabilities coming that I'll show you around RBAC, around auditing, some things that we've heard from all of you and all of our customers that you really want. So way better console, much better experience, and some new capabilities. So I'll demo all that for you guys. All right. So back to kind of the world views and a little bit of how we look at the industry and where things are going before we dive into Intune specifically. I do hope before you leave that you will have a good handle on basically how to manage access to corporate resources from any device, whether it's an Android tablet, an iOS device, a Windows device. I hope that you get a feel for our model for how you prevent data leakage from devices. How many of you guys are AirWatch, familiar with AirWatch as one example? Mobile Iron, Zen Mobile, a little less. Yeah, so Microsoft, for those of you who've already kind of been into it, the way that we look at it is a bit different than some of the other vendors that are out there in the market. We're not about containers like some others are. We have a whole different structure. So let me just kind of walk through that and make sure that you have a handle on that. And then also, if you haven't heard, we offer the capability to protect applications and data with the device being managed or not. And that's something that is pretty new. We shipped it about a year ago, but it was a pretty minimal viable product that we shipped, and we've been improving and improving ever since, and we'll continue to invest in. We heard from a lot of y'all, as well as other customers, that, hey, I just want to know who that user is and manage the apps and the data, but I do not want to control that device, especially in BYOD scenarios and other examples like that. So that's another thing I want to make sure you guys have a good handle on before you leave today. Okay, so the thing you're going to hear me say quite a bit are two words, productive and protected. And I know, actually, let me tell you another story. So as I mentioned, I started with Exchange Online and what was called BPOS at the time, and now O365. And one of the ginormous frustrations within Microsoft, and I'm sure within many, many companies, was, hey, I've got this really cool iPhone or whatever, iPads when they came out. I want to work from this. I want my @Microsoft.com email available on this device. That was a huge dilemma, as you can imagine, 10 years ago or so for Microsoft, eight years ago, to try to decide what we were going to do about that. And it really resonated all the way up to the top of our leadership that what was going on in the world was that people had these very cool devices, and they didn't just want to use them for their personal life to browse the internet and do those things. They wanted to work from them too. And that's what started us down this path. And I was there the day that we made the decision to allow corporate access to Microsoft resources on non-traditional PC devices like this. It was quite a big deal, but then we had a lot of work to do to figure out how to make that secure and how to handle that. So a long story to tell you that we felt it ourselves, and we believe wholeheartedly, and it's in our fiber and our DNA, that we have to offer an experience that protects the corporate resources but delights, if I could use that word, the users, the end users, your employees, your staff, your students, your faculty, whatever it is that you are providing this access for. And it's not just words on a slide or something I'm saying, it's something we live. And I hear more and more from customers, I won't name names, but really, great customers who are like, my boss and my leadership has made it very clear that if I put protections in place and the employees or the staff or whoever are unhappy about that, hence mobile device management not being required where all possible, because that's quite a painful enrollment process, as you know. If I can't offer that, I'm concerned about my job. I'm concerned about whether I will be rewarded for this work that I'm doing. So it's very important for Microsoft. And we don't always get it right, and we listen and we learn to make sure that everybody feels good about the experience, they feel productive, they love it, but IT can assure the CISO and the CIO and the board of directors or whoever you report to at the end of the day that the data, we're doing the best we can to secure it, and the posture is much better than it was before and getting better every day. So with that, basically, what you all have felt and have been feeling for several years is this transformation where you've got to protect your corporate data and make sure that the devices that everybody is using, whether they're PCs or Android tablets or iPads or iPhones or whatever, that they really love them. And there's a couple stats that have come out recently. I've seen these stats for several years now, but this is the latest that we've heard, is that on average, an employee or a staffer or a faculty or whatever, again, is your end user base, that they have tried at least 4 devices to connect to your network to get at work resources. And that's just going to rise in the next couple years to more and more. So, if you think about how many devices you had 5 years ago and what you've got now, I've got 3 things up here, and that's just for this. So if I think back what's at home and what I'm trying to do to access email in the morning when I wake up or whatever, it's even another device. So it's quite a challenge for all of us. And then 80% of employees, and it's probably even higher, but these are the stats that we've heard, are using some unsanctioned application, cloud application during their job, right? Facebook or whatever, and there's just so much risk involved now with the mix and the blend of all of the apps, personal and work-related. So you guys know this, but it's the foundation for everything that we're doing, just to make sure you know that. The other thing that's becoming more and more true, especially I saw O365 hands, it was just about everybody in the room. Everybody is moving something to the cloud. Most customers start with email, right? That's pretty typical, but all of your Word, Excel, PowerPoint, other files are moving. This stuff has all of your sensitive information in it, right? So I'm not telling you nothing that you don't know because you're in this room. So the challenge and the thing that you have to decide is, what is the best way to deliver this balance? Is MobileIron or AirWatch or Microsoft, where are you going to place your bets? What are you going to do to implement what you've got to deliver both that happiness factor and that it's secure factor. It's the data's protected. We're in a better posture than we were before. And just want to assure you, I'm not in marketing. I'm in the product group. But I want to assure you that our CEO, Satya Nadella, has mobility and security constantly on his mind, and that may not be how you felt about Microsoft, 4 or 5 years ago. Certainly wasn't how I thought of us 4 or 5 years ago. But a lot has changed since then. So really quickly here, a visual that I want to anchor around. So you've got your users, partners, faculty, staff, employees, whoever they are. You've got IT, which is probably most of you in the room. There may be some decision makers or other roles in the room, but most likely. How many are you guys consider yourself IT something? Yeah, so most people. Okay, so I'm going to call y'all IT if you don't mind. Your concern is protecting the data and making sure that we do that with an identity that's well understood, that you can audit, track, know what's going on with, that the devices, that you understand those devices and you can manage them and you can lock them down if you so choose, or don't if you choose not to, that you can protect the applications and say you can and can't do this, you can copy and paste this, you can save as or not save as here, which is the app layer, and then that data, those files are protected, that they're encrypted, that you can pull them back at any time if they go out into the wild and all of a sudden you see something getting hacked and that type of thing. So that's what we're after. And the other thing that's really true, and again, I spent many, many years in IT creating a lot of complexity that cost a lot of money and was very, very hard to change and maneuver. With Microsoft and what we're doing, we're thinking about the connective tissue while we do this. And we're making sure that Azure Active Directory and Intune and O365 and Azure, that they all work together. And if you create an identity, all the cloud apps from Microsoft know what it is. If you create a group, all the cloud apps at Microsoft know what to do with that group and can use that group for different things. Again, not where we've been, but this is where we are today and where we're going. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah, okay. So if we talk about enterprise mobility and security, there's a lot of components to it. And so how many of you feel like you're really familiar with the components of enterprise mobility and security? Nope, so this is a little bit of a helpful one then, since just a few hands went up. So we have our identity, your traditional identity and access management. There's so much you can do with that now. There's the single sign-on to apps capability. There's the password reset, self-service. There's a lot of things that come with Azure Active Directory. And it is, as I mentioned, it is the control plane now for the cloud, for Microsoft. There's no more firewalls. There's no more on-premise demilitarized zones. The identity is the thing that we use to say, who are you? What role do you have? What devices are you using? Are those devices acceptable or not? What apps are you trying to use? What data are you trying to maneuver? Where are you trying to copy things? Where are you trying to save things? And that is all based off the identity, which again is our control plane. We're going to go deep here on the MAM and MDM capabilities for managing the devices and managing the apps, which is the Intune piece. And you also have, we are rapidly innovating in the space here around cloud app security and advanced threat analytics and all of this information that we're gathering and basically being able to see threats coming and notify you as an IT administrator and IT pro and say, hey, did you know that Kathy W. at Microsoft.com has been logged into from Japan and Redmond, Washington at the exact same time? You should go look into this and see what's going on, because most likely this is a compromised account that you need to shut down immediately so it's not used to then advance into your network and get access to other things. So a lot of really cool capabilities in it, in addition to the traditional rights management stuff that you've probably seen from Microsoft before. So as I mentioned, we're going to drill in now. So that's our worldview. This is what comes to me every day in my job as far as what we're trying to do, the decisions that I have to make every day about where to invest, where to put our money as far as new features go, and what we're going to do. My world is the mobile device and app management space, or Intune. And let me throw one more visionary thing at you, build this slide out. How many of you have heard of the Intelligent Security Graph in some way? Maybe at Ignite, which was back in September, if you were there. Check this out. What we're doing here, again, because identity is the new control plane for the cloud, and because we have so many signals coming in from devices, from apps, from all the things that are happening with authentications, which you can see, I mean, there's just 300 billion authentications a month in our cloud. This is where we're starting to build something that, as a chief information security officer type role, or somebody who's got a security type responsibility, we are trying to help you see those threats in your network, in your accounts before it becomes a problem for you. So that is one of the things that is coming. And is really cool. I won't be demoing that today, so we're going to stick with Intune and all that, but you should definitely dig in and learn more and more about that. It's really exciting to see, and Microsoft, just like everybody else, has many attackers trying to get at it, trying to get our data, whether you're healthcare or you're just a company like Microsoft that is fun to attack and see what you can do. It's all happening out there to all of us, and a lot of times we don't know it, and we're very serious. Again, I don't want to, it's a whole nother session, but we're very serious about getting that information to you through our software. So let's dive into Intune. As I mentioned, here's where we're going. We're going to dive into MDM and MAM. And let me take that visual I was showing about enterprise mobility plus security and just make sure you know the three big capabilities for Intune. The first one is all about device management, very typical to the industry and what you know, but again, very different in our approach and the how. So what we're talking about here is the same, but how we do it is very different. The second one is your mobile application management, which is all about, okay, once somebody is in to that app, what can they do? Save as, copy, paste, what's encrypted, all of that type of stuff. Pins on the applications if you so choose. And let's go forward. And then the last piece is the PC management piece. How many of you guys have looked into or use Intune today for PC management of like Windows 8? Yeah, very few. How many of you have looked and went, I wish it was better? Okay, so not a lot of PC, yeah. I'm really excited about some things that we have coming. We've reinvested in our PC management capability with Windows 10. And I'll talk a little bit deeper about that in a minute. But most customers these days are looking at Intune to manage their iPads, phones, Android tablets. We do have PC management capabilities in Intune today for Windows 8 and Windows 7. The Windows 10 capabilities are coming, and we're actually taking a new modern approach and looking. How many of you guys are configuration manager customers? Yeah, so the engineering teams for configuration manager and Intune is one team shared together. I'm a part of both teams. And we're looking at what can be done in Configuration Manager, listening to things like user voice and just talking to customers, talking to you guys. And we're building out a plan, and we're also going after Mac management as well. So you'll see a little bit of detail on all of that here in a bit. So let me dive into conditional access. How many of you guys know what that is when I say conditional access? Okay, so this is a good topic. I'll spend a little bit of time here. So conditional access is what we offer if you have the device managed. So if the device is enrolled in Intune, conditional access is something that you can set up that will stop any apps from opening that access corporate resources if the device is not enrolled, not managed. So it is basically says, oh, you want to try to get into Outlook? Oh, you want to try to get into Word? If this device is not managed, no. So it's a great capability. Customers love it. Let me just demo a little bit of it for you really, really quickly. I hope this works, and I hope I push the right one. Let's see. All right, here is my iPad. Maybe? Yep. All right, let me get in, and let me just do a quick demo. So this device is not managed by Intune right now. It's a fresh device, but I did put Word and Outlook on it really quickly to not bore you with the downloads from the store. So I'm going to log in, and it knows who I am, and it knows it's a part of my demo here. So it's asking me for my password. Let me type that in. Okay, and basically what it says is we've got to beef up your security. Your device needs to be managed. No email for you. Just for funsies, let's try Word. And I'm not going to go through the whole enrollment. I mean, y'all have probably seen enrollment, whether it was mobile or whatever before. The device gets enrolled, so I'll skip that part. So now I'm trying to get into Word, your Word cloud version of Word from Microsoft. It's prompting me for my password again. Sign in. And again, nope. And if I did click enroll, and I could bore you guys with that whole thing, but it would enroll, and once it was enrolled, then it would say, hey, okay, you're in. So that's just a quick demo of conditional access, and again, that's something you can turn on or off. It does require device management. So how does that work on the back end, and what are we talking about? What I showed was the device conditional access. We have some other capabilities as well. So as I mentioned, it's all about the identity of the user. We also have multi-factor authentication capabilities, the single sign-on, the password reset. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do around the Azure Active Directory space. How many of you guys have tried the multi-factor authentication, like either where you get a text or a phone call? Do you like that? I mean, I think it's pretty sweet, right? It works. We turned it on at Microsoft. Well, I'm in the dog food group, right? So I think I've had it for 2 years or something like that. But we've been slowly rolling it out across the company. I think we're done with that now. And it's probably the thing we get the least complaints about, right? You guys get them too. It's like, what are you doing to my device? And why do I have to do this? But that works really well. I'm really happy with that. So here are some of the conditions, and I'll demo this in our new Intune on Azure portal here in a little bit. But here are some of the conditions that you can set. You can do it based on the location of the user, the IP range, the state of the device, which is what I was demoing here, saying, okay, this iPad's not enrolled, so no Word, no email for you. You can obviously get granular depending on the group that you're in. Maybe the legal department gets a little bit more scrutiny than, say, I don't know, pick something that has a lot less secure data in it in your company. And you can set risk factors as well that then you can control and do different things depending on what you want to do. And based on those conditions, then you either allow or enforce multi-factor authentication, or you can remediate, like let's say it's a jailbroken device and you want to walk them down the path of fixing that. Or you can block like you saw me do. My access was blocked because my device was not enrolled in Intune. You can also wipe the device. And we have robust access to many, many cloud services. I'll show you some of the apps and services later on. But also we're building out the on-premise side. So one of the pain points has been, I'm not here to just do all sunshine and bunnies, right? One of the pain points has been the on-premises customers. Some of you guys may feel left behind if you're not using O365 and you want to use Intune conditional access, let's say to block Exchange server and traditional access like that. We're still building those capabilities out. We started with the cloud, and now we're going back and saying, okay, SharePoint on-premises, your own Exchange servers, how will we make all of this work and wire it all up? And we have roadmap plans for all of those things. Does that make sense? Okay, and I will have time at the end for questions for sure. Okay, so that's conditional access. And I already demoed it, so we're gonna move on. So the next thing I want to talk about is the mobile application management. So we talked about the device management. Now we're going to talk about the mobile application management. Early customers of Intune, say from 2 years ago, the only way you could do app management was if the device was enrolled. We got a lot of feedback saying, hey, device enrollment sucks for our end users, right? It just does. And it doesn't matter which vendor you go with, there's just the way iOS is built, there's the way Android and its many, many flavors is built, and there's just, it's a partnership between vendors like us and the Apples and Androids of the world, Samsung, et cetera, trying to make that enrollment experience go well. But it's a tough nut to crack. So the feedback we got was, where possible, can we skip the whole device enrollment thing and just manage the apps and the files, right? And that's what we have now enabled. And also keep in mind, let's say you have AirWatch deployed today and you're using that for device management, but you've got O365 and you're scratching your head trying to figure out how you're going to protect, all the email and all the Word docs and all the PowerPoints and everything. You can use Intune's mobile application management on top of your AirWatch MDM implementation, and they coincide very nicely together. So it's kind of a lot of permutations, and I don't have a permutation slide up here, but you can have Intune MDM plus MAM. You can have Intune with MAM only for kind of like that BYOD, give me access to email while I'm sitting at home. Or you can have an AirWatch MDM device or a mobile iron MDM device with Intune's MAM capabilities on top. So those are your choices. And we're really excited to have gotten to this place with that, because it's been a long journey for those of you that have been on that journey with us. And it feels really good to be able to stand up here and say, you know, this all works, and it works very well today. Is that pretty clear? Okay. So then, you know, what can you do with MAM? When Kathy stands up here and says, you can do MAM with AirWatch or not, or whatever, you know, what am I talking about? So I want to make sure that's super clear. We have app encryption at rest. We have access control with either a PIN or your credentials, like a password. We control the save as. So many customers are like, no Dropbox, SharePoint only, you know, that kind of a thing. So where can the person save those files to? Copy paste restrictions. So if you're in some confidential email or corp controlled Word doc or PowerPoint, no copying out to a non-managed application like Facebook. Hey, Microsoft's revenue's gonna be blah, you know, none of that kind of stuff. Selective wipe at the app level, so just wiping Word, for example, instead of trashing the whole device. Managed web browsing, and that's multiple browsers. And then secure viewing of PDFs, images, and videos. And the last thing to point out, how many of you have heard of or noticed our multi-identity capability in our Office apps? No, okay, some, yes. So here's the scenario, right? I have a personal email account that I use all the time, and then I have my work, kathyw@microsoft.com, and I don't want two versions of Word, Outlook, et cetera, on here, you know, one for personal email and one for work. And that's just crazy talk, like who would ever do that? So we built in the capability in the tier 1 Office apps, and more are coming, because Office, as you know, the apps for Office are growing like bunnies. Every day we're like, oh, Teams, oh, there's something new. So for the tier 1, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, basically, when you open the app, like you saw me have to log in, it will then go, oh, okay, Kathy has logged in as her work account, so now I'm going to apply the policies and the protections. But then when I go log in with my personal account, it's like, oh, you know. And all that can coexist, and we know we don't use containers. That's one of the big differences. We use identity to know what to protect and what not to protect based on which identity you have when you're in Word, PowerPoint, or Outlook. Clear as mud? Yeah, good. You guys awake? Awesome, okay, good. You look awake, so. So then a few more slides, and then we'll go into demo, and then we'll go into questions. We get questions a lot about which apps are enlightened or managed by Intune. And so this is the current list of applications, both Microsoft and third party, that are currently enlightened with our SDK. There's also a website, if you go out to Microsoft.com, where you can see this. And you can also hover over each of these applications, and it will tell you whether it supports multi-identity, where I talked about logging in as a personal account or a work account, and knowing the difference and knowing whether to protect or not. And then also which of these support the no device enrollment functionality, or it requires device enrollment. So it's quite a complicated matrix, but the site that we have is pretty cool. And we'll show you, you know, Outlook is multi-identity and is with and without enrollment, but Box, for example, you know, blah, blah, blah. So this is super helpful, and we're adding all the time. So those are our deeply embedded with our SDK list of applications. And then we also have many, many more apps for iOS that can be managed with native app controls. And so there's a larger list as well out there, and it broadens your control plane. It's not as, you don't get as many options as if it's integrated with the SDK. So we're doing our best to get as many of these as we can, but this is your second tier security. Let me talk a little bit about PC and device management. together. So not too many people in the room raised their hand when it came to PC management and said, hey, I want to use Intune, or I am using Intune. But we're getting more and more of this, as well as macOS. You can see OS X there. We've been beat over the head and shoulders, appropriately so. All of this comes my way as part of my job, about Macs. And we've heard you, and we are working on that capability. We have some private preview things out right now, and we're building and building and building. And we're basically, what we've heard, this maybe will resonate with you, or maybe your situation is different, but Macs are more and more going to execs, to data scientists. Yes, I see a lot of heads nodding. Yep, that's your, and they're like, and no, not for you. It's coming then, no. Admins use them a lot as well, and that's been a frustration with Intune because of our Silverlight console that we currently have, but I'm going to show you, like I said, the new one. And so, the time has come for Microsoft to treat Macs like first-class citizens, just like we do iOS devices, Android tablets, and our own PCs. So we're investing heavily there, and we have really exciting capability coming. You probably also know that we offer a hybrid mode between your configuration manager, which probably is what you're using to manage PCs when it comes to imaging and operating system deployment and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Patch management, and then you're probably using Intune for your iOS, Android tablets, et cetera, your mobile devices. So we still offer that capability, and that is still there. But for those who want to move more and more to the cloud, and they want their PC management where they're doing their tablet and iPad management, we're working to build out that capability. That is further behind in the roadmap, so to speak, than the Mac OS X management is, but it all is being invested in, and you'll see that rolling out from Microsoft in the coming year or so. And I should mention, now would be a good time to mention, if you don't know, we release our software on a monthly basis now, and that is getting a tighter and tighter window as time goes on. So we're constantly innovating. You probably, and not just Intune, Azure Active Directory Premium, O365, all across the cloud at Microsoft. You're seeing this rapid innovation. Okay, we heard you, let's get something out, improve it, improve it, improve it. We offer the private previews for those who are risk takers and have some kind of, demo tenant or trial tenant or eval tenant that they want to try it on. And once you feel good about it, rolling that out to your production tenant, that's where we're going. So we ship quite frequently, and all of that information is out on the web for you to see. So with that, give you an introduction to what I spoke about at the start of the session, which is that the Intune Silverlight console that you know and love to hate is going away eventually over time, and we're bringing everything onto our Azure admin portal. It's very exciting, and not only are we doing that, we're bringing new capability to bear. I mentioned a couple things around RBAC, around essentially audit logging and being able to see what's going on, which a lot of compliance requires that. Plus, it's just something you would want to know. Who's logged on? Who's assigned some subscriptions? Who's done this? Who was unsuccessful getting at something? What's happening? The other thing has anybody heard of Microsoft Graph? Yeah. So this is our new set of APIs that we're offering so that for those inclined, they can build on top and do a lot of the same things the console does through PowerShell commands and other things that people want to build on top of Azure. So the power of Graph is coming to Intune as well with this new experience. So it is demo time. So let's switch over. Actually, I don't think I need to switch. Let's just go here. I have a list of things that I want to show you. So let's see. Let's get rid of this. All right. You can kind of see that, huh? So what you're seeing here, this is the Azure portal that's live today. You'll see 2 new workloads. Everybody calls these workloads on the left here. You'll see Intune and Intune App Protection. Intune App Protection is actually live today, but the Intune piece is not. What I've got showing right now is the dashboard. This is customizable, so you can basically drag and drop these items and make it your own, whatever you do. So the part on the left here is the what comes when you first load up Azure. It's all around a lot of infrastructure as a service things, virtual machines, storage, blah, blah, blah. I put a few of my own Intune specific things over here. I manage users a lot. I look a lot at the access control. I enroll a lot of devices. I manage a lot of apps. And I've got a couple of groups and users that I've got over here. So, but any of this, you can change this around however you would like. You can add things. So this is all customizable. So that's one thing you're going to get with the move of Intune onto Azure, is this nice dashboard that you can start with instead of hunting and pecking and going wherever you need to go. The second thing I want to show you, I'm flipping to my Edge browser. By the way, a lot of this is preview, as I mentioned. So the Intune specific tab here, which I'll open up, if you went today to your Azure portal, you won't see this. We are starting our tier 1 guinea pigs, if you will, right now, getting feedback from them, and everybody will be migrated, and new tenants will be built this way instead of the old way, starting in, don't quote me, but 3-ish months. So in 3-ish months, we'll be done. The Silverlight console will still be there for some things, but for the most part, you'll do your work here. So just know this is a little buggy. One of the things I do want to show you, though, is our new capability for seeing what's going on as far as the users and the audit logs. So if I take a look here in our demo environment, who's been signing on and what have they been doing, you can see all the different users who have been trying to access Craig and me and Keisha and a whole bunch of people. You can look at audit logs, which I know is huge for some of the compliance industry, and we have not been able to deliver this capability to you. So, you know, let's just type in me. What have I been up to? See what comes back here. So I've been creating some groups. I've been adding members to groups. I've been removing. I've changed some licensing. Whole bunch of stuff kind of been prepped for this demo. Let's look at Clay, who's a member of my team. See what he's been doing. Yeah, he's been doing some similar things to me. Deleting users. That's always a good thing. So, you know, all of that, and you can export this, filter it, download it, and export it, as I just mentioned. So very cool capabilities for those of you who have, whether it was HIPAA compliance or anything else, and you had to meet that requirement. So that's one thing I wanted to show you. The next thing I want to show you, I'm going to flip back over to my IE version, going into the Intune workload, and I want to show you our new RBAC capabilities. So there's an access control blade here, and you get some built-in roles, a configuration policy manager, help desk operator, application manager. Let's look at what that is. So these come with, and you can customize them if you would like to. So as you would expect, the app manager has the ability to assign, create, delete, do everything with apps. You can also create your own. I've created a custom one here. The way you do that is you add a custom. We'll call it demo. And then what you'll see is an amazing amount of permissions that can be set by you for your personal implementation that is based, so based on device configuration, who can do what to applications, who can manage devices, mobile apps. There's just a ton of capabilities that you can now create and then assign people to these access control groups. So very cool capability that you did not have before. Many of you, I don't know how many of you have given us feedback in this room, but it's one of the big things that everybody's asked for. So we're really excited to bring that with our move on to Azure. So let's create a policy to configure devices, right? So obviously that's in our configure devices capability. Profiles is where I want to go. And I'm going to create a new profile. We've got one in here today for the demo, which is locking down corporate devices. But let's do password required policy. I'm going to do this so you can see all the different platform choices. We've got Android for work, iOS, macOS, Windows Phone 8.1, Windows 10, and Windows 8.1 machine. So I'm going to go with iOS, and I'm going to do device restrictions. I can go in here and configure. I'm going to go into password, and I'm going to require a password of alphanumeric and say done. And with that, as easy as that, I've created my policy. And it is here, I hope. No, it's here. Wait, whoa, overview. Oh, nope, it's here. These blades, sorry, my screen, there it is. So we've got this. And then obviously the next thing you would do is assign your groups to it, and off you go. So that's the way you would do that in the new console. And then let's do, I talked a lot about mobile application management specifically, right? With or without enrollment, and that enrolled device could be Intune, or it could be AirWatch or Mobile Iron. So this is that MAM policy side of the house. And let's see, let's go to app policy. We're going to create a policy. You can see we have a bunch in here. We've got corp app lockdown. We've got specific apps like the Coffee Tip app, which is one of our homegrown apps. So let's create a new one. And I'm going to call this one just demo. And I'm going to pick iOS. Let's see, which apps do I want this to apply to? I'm going to apply it to your traditional Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, Word. So I've got that done. And then this is where you have all the different settings that you can set. So preventing where the data is going. We talked a lot about, let's see, preventing save as. Yes, I want to prevent save as. I don't want to allow it at all, or I only want to do it with certain applications. Requiring a PIN, sure, 5 digits, or sorry, 5 attempts, 4-digit length. Block manage apps from running on jailbroken, absolutely yes. And let's say okay, and we'll create that policy. So it's as simple as that, and then again, you start assigning your groups, and I won't bore you with the demo, it truly does work. So yes, I see a hand, yes. Do we have a mic in here, or how are we doing the questions? I'll just repeat, go ahead. Yes, so like if they download Outlook, let's say from the App Store, this applies, yes. Mm-hmm. Does that answer your question? Yeah. And then I can also demo, we can push apps out. I pushed, to this device, I pushed out Lookout earlier, so you can push third-party apps or Microsoft apps to the device if that's what you want to do. That's another capability. Yeah. Let me show a few things in the slides, and then we'll take questions, because I think we're at that place. I probably bored you to death with the demo, but you get a feel for, no? Some people are like, that's good. A few more things I want you to know about, since I've got you, and then we'll go through Q&A. Let's see. Whoop. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah. How many of you guys have heard of FastTrack? Good. How many of you are new to FastTrack, like in the last couple months? Not too many. Okay, so some of you might have a bad taste in your mouth about FastTrack. We've gotten many frustrated customers who felt like this wasn't working for them. So what is it? As it says up there, this is a free tech service for you to leverage to get yourself up and running. So when you buy O365, when you buy any part of EMS or EMS in total, if you just buy Intune, whatever, you will get a call that says, hey, we see you haven't got a call. We need to help you get a call. That says, hey, I see that you have bought this. How can we help you get this up and running? We've had hits and misses, but we are serious in investing in this, and we want this to be the best free service that you use to get set up right so that it minimizes your need to call support later. That's the whole objective that we have here. And I talked to some people last night in the Ask the Experts, and they were like, oh, FastTrack, no. And I'm like, no, it's better. We've been making a lot of improvements to it. So if you tried it a year ago, you tried it 6 months ago, and you felt like it didn't help you, call them back if you need help. They're here to get you up and running. They'll get you configured. All that demoing I was doing of policies, you explain what you need. They'll get you set up and going. They'll help you enroll devices. They'll help you get apps pushed out. And that's what they're here to do. And the reason why, this is the most important part. That guy, that picture I showed, Satya Nadella, earlier, he believes that anybody who's paid good money for something from Microsoft should be using it. And he wants that to be a free service, right? We're not going to, now let's charge you to help you, get up and running and use it. A lot of you probably have partners or things that you're using to do that, and that's absolutely an option for you. But here's FastTrack on the phone, whenever you need them, if that's the way you want to go. So, and if it's not working for you, let us know that you're frustrated about it, because we will make it better. So that's FastTrack. Really important that you know about that, and that if you tried it a while ago, come back. The last thing, I'm pretty sure it's the last thing that I wanted to share with you is that we realize that you guys have partners for different parts of your network that you want to leverage to integrate with Microsoft. So specifically for Intune, our ecosystem is growing. We have Cisco ICE, if you use that, it leverages the conditional access that I talked about earlier, and you can do conditional access through your Cisco ICE. Lookout is a third party, if you haven't heard of them, that do a lot of anti-malware app layer protection. They're a great partner of ours. SAS we do, Citrix, we have a great partnership with them as well. So follow up on those if you have any of those needs or you have any of those technologies in your environment. It might make your life easier if you don't know about these partnerships. So with that, we've got some time for Q&A. So anybody have any questions that I can answer? Yes, please.
With the RBAC roles,
Mm-hmm.
can you assign those roles to groups of users or devices so that the folks in that group can manage only those devices?
Yes. So the question was, with our new RBAC capabilities, maybe I should pull up, can you assign those roles to groups after you create them so that essentially it narrows down who can do what for you? And the answer is absolutely yes. So not only do you create these, but then you assign groups to them later who have people in them, and then that determines what those people can do. Yeah.
If you assign it to a group of users, does it allow only access to those devices for those users as well?
Yes, these controls here are the admin controls as far as who can do what in the console. But we also, you're talking now about the device level policies that we have and the app level policies and applying those to groups. It's the exact same concept. Yes, absolutely. So you can basically say, my legal department, here's their group, here's all the people who work in the legal department in that group, and say, those devices need to be managed. And then have, your regular employee base that isn't the legal department, and they're bringing their own devices to work, and they're just doing email. We don't need to manage those devices. That's a different group. So absolutely, that's what groups are for. And as I mentioned, if some of you have used Intune for a while, we used to have groups in Intune, and then you'd have to create groups in Azure Active Directory, and then you'd have to get those groups to talk to each other. It's all one group now. With our move onto Azure, you set up one group, and it applies to everything, so including Office. Yeah, good question. Yes, please.
Did I hear you earlier say that Windows 10 devices are not working in here?
There are some capabilities that are there and some capabilities that are not. So, yeah, and it kind of makes you scratch your head and go, what? I know.
I'm about that because I'm currently testing Windows 10 devices
Yep.
within Intune.
Yes.
And I haven't really seen too many issues.
Yep.
So I'm wondering why you're kind of saying.
Yeah. Yes. So what I want to definitely acknowledge is, you saw the plethora of platforms that we and everybody has to deal with. You have to deal with, right? It could be a Mac OS X device, an iOS, and Android of different flavors. You got your Windows 10, you got your Windows 8, 8.1, you got your Windows 7. And the challenge that we have, and we may not look like we totally make sense outside the walls of Microsoft, is whether it's conditional access or it's MAM without enrolled devices or it's this or that, which platforms are we going to do first? And you would think like we would do all of them together and roll it all out together, but it actually doesn't happen that way. And there is rhyme or reason, but it doesn't always make sense. So when you look at different controls, you may or may, you might only find iOS and Android and no Windows for certain policies, but on others, you'll see Windows 10 and everything like I was showing you earlier.
I've been testing
Yeah.
rolling both ways, both MDM and MAM.
Yep.
Installing clients.
Yep. And you haven't found any issues, which is good. We're working on that coverage for sure, but.
I won't necessarily say I haven't found any issues.
Uh-huh.
With client installations, I have ran into a few problems with synchronization.
Yes.
Back to Intune.
Yes.
But I find that the MDM seems to be working a lot better, and it gives the users a lot more freedom and less restrictions on the device itself.
Yeah.
We're not controlling, pushing out updates and things through Intune.
Yeah, yeah. And so just to acknowledge, though, that you might get to a policy where you don't see, oh, hey, my screensaver, thank you. There's my husband, for those of you who wonder why my last name is Watanabe. Now you know. Yeah, so just to acknowledge that it's a real challenge as an engineering team to get it all working the way we want and the way we know you want. And so we tackle it in priority order. And sometimes you'll see something and go, well, when's that coming for? Blah. And it's on the roadmap. It's just not there yet. Yeah. Great. Thanks for that question. Yeah. Other hands? Yes. The light is right there glaring at you for me.
So you mentioned that Intune uses identity versus containers. I had a question regarding, so we have a group of users of AE that don't have identity, so they don't have AE or email.
Mm-hmm.
We want to manage their iPads. Is there a way to how do we do that for those?
Certificate-based authorization is where I think you're going. So you have some users, just to repeat for the room, who don't have username passwords, and you're trying to figure out how to manage those scenarios. So the path that we're going down, some of this stuff is private preview, some is public preview, some is coming, but we're basically lighting up certificate-based authentication for those scenarios where you don't have a real user who has credentials. So read up about that. Excuse me one second. So read up about that, and I think some of it is public preview. And that's more on the AADP side of the house. I'm not the deep expert in it, but I've been involved in which apps are coming. I believe all the tier ones are at least private preview, if not public preview today, so trying to get them access to certain applications. Thank you. Private preview? So not public preview yet. We've tried some. Great, yeah. So that will be your answer, and that's the path that you'll want to go down, and that'll be fully supported by Microsoft for sure. Yeah, thank you. Good question. I get that one a lot. Yes?
Can I use conditional access to block browser-based access to OneDrive?
Ooh. Browser-based access to OneDrive. So you have a browser getting to OneDrive instead of the OneDrive client?
I can use MAM, enable OneDrive client with no problem. But you can always bring the native OS's browser to the OneDrive site and then save files from within the browser.
Are you using the managed browser or the? Okay. Have you heard of the managed browser?
I've heard of it, but
That's.
maybe you should explain that a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. So there.
I'm trying to block the whole
Yeah.
browser access
Yes.
to OneDrive.
Yes, yes. And we had that whole with email as well, right? We first came out, said, hey, here's Outlook and it's managed, but OO was still wide open, right? Oh, sorry, guys. I'll stand over here and move this mouse every once in a while. Yes, so I understand what you're talking about. So what we've offered is a managed version of Safari, of IE, et cetera. And you can basically, in the policy, say only allow the managed browser, do not allow the normal Safari browser, the normal IE, that type of thing. So you can turn that on, and that should solve your problem. Yes, please.
One more add-on to that.
Yeah, yeah.
Does the device have to be Azure AD joined or registered to do that?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, yes,
I've heard that.
yes.
I don't believe it has to be Azure joined. It can be locally joined.
What's the scenario you're talking about? Maybe I missed the scenario.
Even managing, it can be locally joined, we're not Azure joined.
So are you talking about, so I've got my own on-premises infrastructure and I've got Active Directory with Windows Server, and then you have Azure Active Directory in the cloud. You can definitely sync those. There's a technology called AD Connect, formerly DirSync, formerly a bunch of names for it.
I'm doing that, but I'm not syncing devices.
Yeah, so we're not, you're talking identity or you're talking devices here? I want to make sure I understand your scenario.
To limit access to the managed browser, does the device have to be registered
Oh.
Azure AD joined and registered? Registered,
So I think you mean managed, enrolled? Ah,
not for device management, just listed as, yeah.
I'm not sure I understand your scenario. Yeah, maybe we can talk afterwards. Yeah, so you were talking about, what? Yeah. So just to cover a few things, and let's talk afterwards so I understand what your scenario is. But I think you were bringing up the AD Connect capability. So many of you, most of you have an Active Directory that you've invested in ever since Windows 2000 came out, and you want to sync that to the cloud. There's a technology called AD Connect that you can do to populate your cloud directory, keep them in sync, and we absolutely offer that capability. But just to go back to how Intune operates, that Azure Active Directory is the control plane. We need to know who that person is, and we count on Azure Active Directory for that. But to your point, we can sync it to your on-premises directory, and we can get it that way. But then your browser question, I'll follow up afterwards and make sure I understand it. Yes, please.
What can you still not do? So like if you're Azure AD connected, my computer is Windows 10,
Yep.
and you have Intune, which I do.
Yeah.
Just play with it now, learning it.
Awesome, thank you.
What can I not do that I used to do through policy and things like that?
If we're talking about PC management?
Yes, you were saying that.
Yes. So operating system deployment cannot do. So a lot of those, oops, I see it going. A lot of those traditional PC management things where you're using OSD, imaging, those are the things that are missing today that we're investing in, as I mentioned. So that full, oh, sorry?
And for us, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's it, and
Yeah.
that's it. So we're getting to the point where we don't even need to be connected to the on-prem.
Yeah, depending on, I mean, there are a lot of companies who still really want to control that PC very differently than an iPad, right? Like iPads, what a lot of customers are doing is say, require a minimum version of the operating system or a max version, like I don't want 10.2 because I know it's got problems and it's going to break or whatever. So they're doing it that way, but many customers, maybe not you guys, which is great, you're the modern ones that we see who are basically saying, I still need to image, I still need to control the patches that go to it, I still need to push things to it. Now we can push on the cloud side as well. But it's those who are heavily invested in that imaging, cleaning up all the OEM garbage that comes on PCs that you get from them. All that capability is what is missing from Intune today. But it's coming. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yes.
Under the PC management capabilities, as far as patching,
Yes.
what are the largest differences of using SCCM and the new Windows 10 servicing rings?
Yep.
Does Intune,
You are clearly doing that. I can tell.
yeah,
Yes.
is
Yes.
So, because those are right now, I don't think they are that servicing capabilities.
Correct. Yeah. So the question was, we have somebody here who's very familiar with SCCM today and how we've moved to the servicing ring that matches Windows and their cadence for Windows 10. And pretty seamless, you know, I mean, it's a big change to go from an upgrade the way we used to do it to the servicing rings, but it's pretty cool. And the question was, is that one of the things that's coming to Intune? And absolutely it is, yeah. Where in that roadmap? We're in discussion right now, but if any of you have heard of Jason Giddens, who's one of my peers, who's the guru of SCCM and is blogging and all that, he and I have talked to many customers, and he's talked to many, many more about, of all the things you would do with your traditional management today, what do you want to do in the cloud? And definitely what you're asking for is on that roadmap. And so what we're doing right now, Microsoft and our engineering team, is, you know, what order and how do we, you know, what order do we go through these in, and what will bring the most value to the most people first. And that's where we're at right now. So, which is, I'm happy to say, because 6 months ago, I'd have been like, stick with SCCM, we got nothing for you. So, yeah. And we're not doing this because we think it's a great idea. We're being pushed. Just like our Mac, I know, I should have fixed that. Boy, next time. Just like with our Mac story, you know, we were like, and then finally, you know, we were like, okay, there's truly a demand here. Jamf and Casper and other things aren't enough for what customers want to do, and so we're starting to work through that. But we are further along on the Mac than we are on the Windows 10. Just where we're at. Any other questions? Yes, please.
How do we're about to implement Intune in the next 2 months, actually. I've been
Awesome.
self-learning, but the FastTrack was something I had no clue about.
Yeah.
So how do I engage to get the FastTrack going? What's the proper way to do that?
There is a number, and I'll even give you my counterpart who runs FastTrack. I'll give you his name. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'll give you. He wouldn't mind if all of you had his name. He's like Kurt Hume. So 150 licenses or more. Yeah, but you know what? If you have less, let me know. We'll get you in. You know, we made that number up. I mean, to be honest, it's like if you don't have that many, you're probably just playing around. But we care deeply, even if you're just playing around with the service. Let's help you, and we really don't want any boundaries. But yes, what? Yeah, it is true that is what we publish, but we can get you. You know, we're not going to say no. If you're interested and you're evaluating, we're not going to say, well, you don't have 150 licenses, so yeah, we'll get you in. I'll get you in. KathyW@Microsoft.com. Just email me and I'll connect you.
Management, like as a person who might have to manage Intune, how much time does it take to?
I should ask the room. So we have somebody who's just evaluating and thinking it through, and maybe the comparison is compared to other MDM and MAM providers, you know, is this, and just even how much time is it? I think it depends on how many devices and how complex your environment is, right? You know, but yes, yeah. You know, once you're set up, but your business changes, and so you've got to keep up with the reorgs and the, you know, oh, now we got to be more secure here, or, you know, I don't know. Room, what do you guys think? Boils down to how much time you want to spend, you know, how secure do you want to make it, and we are always putting new things out too, so there's the investment to go, okay, what just came out and what can I do with that, and does that solve some problem I have or not? So there's some learning in there for sure. Yeah, and then when we move to the new console here, there'll be a lot of new learning, you know, so, but that happens once in a blue moon. This is the first new console we've had since the original console, so, yeah. Yes, please.
So do we have single sign-on between the apps under MAM?
So the question is there single sign-on between the apps under MAM? And the answer is, for what I keep referring to as the Tier 1 Office applications, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, OneDrive, yes. So the scenario, just to make sure I follow on your scenario, is, and you saw me do it here, is, okay, I'm logging in to get my email into Outlook, and I put my credentials in, I put my password in, now I went over to Word, it's making me do that again. You can definitely configure it to where, okay, I trust that this was Kathy who went to email, now she's opening Word, don't ask for her password again. We do have that capability. Finally, it was not there a while ago, but it is now live today. So you can basically say, okay, if it's Office and it's these apps, one time, and then pass that credential on to Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneDrive, and don't force that. Yeah, we got a lot of feedback that people were not a fan of that. So we worked with the Office team. It was really their work, not ours, to make that happen. The one exception that you may or may not, you might laugh, think of as a Tier 1 app is Yammer, and Yammer is not yet in that single sign-on group. Yeah, and the reason why, since you got the tech person in the room, is that was an acquisition, and their back end is very different than the traditional Office stuff, and so they're working to change their plumbing so that they can join that party, but it's not there today. Yeah. Yes, please.
Kind of touching base on her question, so we set up SCCM at my place about a year ago.
Awesome.
It's great for what it does. It's a huge learning curve for a lot of sites there.
Yes.
And we're also going to jump into Intune in the next month or so.
Fantastic.
Because it's kind of leading to integration, yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like the learning curve for SCCM is huge, so I don't know if I want to guys to learn that or just have them jump straight into Intune. I asked this question before to like FastTrack and all that, and they just mentioned that it's being worked on because I guess it kind of the path is you either integrate it or you don't.
Yes,
And like point you can't really go back easily.
that is true.
I don't know if there's any update on that.
Yeah. So the question here is, we have somebody who is using Configuration Manager today for the Windows PC management. They're going to start using Intune probably for the device management. And the question is, should I go hybrid and connect my SCCM rollout with my Intune capabilities or not? And the question is, what's the latest guidance on that, and where does Microsoft stand on that? You heard right from the FastTrack Center in that we would always prefer that you think about how you could go cloud only if possible. So that's not changed. But what has changed is the capabilities in the cloud, in Intune, were much more lightweight than what you could get with SCCM. And that single decision, I see some heads nodding, is what drove customers to go hybrid, to get some of the rich capabilities that you referred to, RBAC, auditing, a bunch of things that Intune hasn't had until lately. So the reason why our stance is changing now is a lot of those capabilities we now have in the cloud. And so we want you to, anybody who's new making this decision, we want you to think about it a little bit differently. I'll get your email afterwards and send you the latest articles we have on that. And the last piece to know is once you do make that choice, today, unfortunately, it is difficult to switch. So if you decide I'm going to go hybrid with my authorization for mobile device management, to switch that causes, you have to, any devices that are enrolled have to be unenrolled and re-enrolled. So it's very painful. Now, we are very aware that that is bogus and that this should be in your hands and you should be able to do things about it. And we've been working really hard to change all of that so you don't have to call into support. And the unenroll, re-enroll is not a Microsoft-only problem. It's an iOS and Android and others problem. But we're trying to do everything we can to give that control and put that in your hands. So just that's the answer to that last part. But come find me, and I will. I'll get you the latest information. Anybody else who wants that too, I'll take your email. Yeah, because we're recently changing that with the Intune on Azure and everything that's coming out. We want you to rethink that hybrid. Yeah, but there are reasons to still go hybrid, so it's not abandoned ship on that. Okay, with that, we have 50 seconds left. Anybody have one last thing I can answer in 50 seconds? No. Well,
Will macOS have Azure AD connected to
What are you trying to do when you say Mac OS X with Azure AD connected to it? What do you mean? We are, as I mentioned, what I can say is we want how you manage your Macs to be first-class citizens, just like how you manage your iOS devices and your Android devices and your Windows. We are definitely looking at the full management of a Mac, just like a full management of a Windows PC. So your conditional access, your everything. It's in the roadmap. There's nothing I can say further and even kind of how we'll go about that, but it is heavy discussions with my CVP, Brad Anderson, if you guys know who he is, and we are working on that. So unfortunately, I'm giving you the squishy vaporware answer right now, but what I can tell you is it's a priority and we're committed to it, and we've heard you, and we want to get that to you, but I can't share a lot of details at this point. Yeah, thanks for the question, though. Come back in 6 months and you'll know more. Well, thank you guys. I know you had a lot of choices for how you could spend your time, and I really appreciate you coming, and I hope it was helpful. So have a good afternoon. Thank you guys.